you really understand the other person. But that takes effort. That takes some persistence. But if you do it regularly for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, it becomes automatic. And that's the kind of change you want.
So some people are so self-absorbed that they really can't listen to other people. But emotional intelligence is being self-aware. It's the opposite, right?
That's a wonderful distinction you make between self-absorbed and self-aware. Self-absorbed means you're focusing on thoughts about me. I'm preoccupied about this thing that's upsetting me, or this thing I want from the other person, or some other thing completely. You're distracted, you're daydreaming. In other words, you're not really noticing the fact that you are self-absorbed. Self-awareness means you would notice that. Say, oh, I'm being distracted now. I should really pay attention to what's going on. And it's a critical distinction, because if we're just lost in our thoughts, swept away by our emotions, do whatever we want, then we have no self-awareness. And it's self-awareness which allows you to manage your emotions better, to manage your life better, because only by first monitoring and noticing what's going on in your own mind can you take any control.
The first step in any 12-step program for recovery, starting with Alcoholics Anonymous, is the elephant in the room thing. That, first be aware that we have a huge problem, an elephant in the room that is killing us. And let's do something about it, right?
Well, in addictions, you see self-absorption at its worst, because people are not only destroying their own lives, they're damaging the lives of everyone close to them. And a lot of crimes are because of addictions and so on. And the road to recovery, the road in AA programs, for example, starts with self-awareness. You have to see the problem, admit it's a problem, realize the consequences of what you do. If you don't have that first capability, if you have no self-awareness, you just can't change. But if you do, that opens a new door for you.
I love this phrasing in your books, making the invisible visible. It reminds me of Freud, and it's fascinating that you are an American psychologist who quotes Freud, which is not very common, making the unconscious conscious. So is this coming from Freud?
Well, Freud was the first major thinker to talk about the power of the unconscious, the power of what we don't know, when we don't notice and don't notice that we're not noticing. So, for example, with alcoholism, with addictions of any kind, shopaholic, whatever it may be, the danger is that our unconscious mind is running the show, and we have no idea. We're just like puppets of whatever conflict, need, impulse is at the helm. And it's only by first noticing what's going on that we can do anything to change. So I think Freud was a great genius.
And that brings us to your latest book, Ecological Intelligence. So when we shop, we really don't think. We react automatically. We are in what you call a fog of inertia, right?
It's harmful for us and harmful for the planet. Basically, the biggest self-deception when we go shopping is that everything we buy, every product, has a multitude, a huge array of consequences from the time you start manufacture and production, gathering the ingredients, manufacturing the ingredients, transport, time in the store, time we use it, to disposal. There's a new methodology. It's called life cycle assessment that looks at every step along the way. And this is a science. So for a simple glass jar that some salsa or tomato sauce comes in, there are 1,959 different steps. Each of those steps is analyzed for what molecules are going into the air, what emissions are there, what's going into water, what's going into soil, what are the consequences to the health of the workers at this step, and then at the next step, and the next step. And what ingredients, what chemicals in this product are going to harm us. And it's very surprising, at least I was actually shocked when I did the research for my book, Ecological Intelligence, to find there are basically 100,000 industrial chemicals in use today, and nobody knows what their toxic consequences are in our bodies, in our children's bodies. I was talking to an industrial ecologist. These are the people who do these assessments, and he said, I got I got very upset when I realized that the sunscreen I was putting on my 5-year-old daughter has a chemical which, when it goes in the sun, becomes a carcinogen. And it turns out that our products are chock full of these kinds of ingredients. And that was really what spurred me to start writing the book Ecological Intelligence, because we have to wake up. We have to stop the self-deception, and it's a massive self-deception. It's built into the very system of commerce today.
All this talk about this is a green product, eco-friendly product, this doesn't help much, right?
Well, you know, I see that as a mirage, because once you understand through the lens of life cycle assessment, anything has thousands of consequences for the planet, consequences for you and me, for our health, for the people that made it. You see that if you take one thing and you change it and improve it, well, that's good. That's one thing. But still there's 999 other things you haven't touched. So instead of saying, well, change one thing and call it green, what I advocate is that we get companies to continually upgrade, to continually improve the ecological impacts of what they make and what they sell to us. That way we can gradually become greener. It's not that we'll ever be completely green. The truth is, I'm sad to say, nature does not love any man-made product. Everything, unless it's completely organic, unless it's designed to be what's called an industrial nutrient, or something which is made, manufactured, actually ends up seamlessly fading back into nature. Its molecules are accepted in a friendly way. Until we reach that point, we will never be green. That's the only true standard for green.
You showed that the goal is to get to what you call radical transparency, where we would know everything about the impact of each product that we buy. And that is actually starting to happen with NGOs that give information to people. Now I can use my cell phone, the camera on the cell phone, to photograph the barcode of a product and get that information, right?
Well, I think what may save us from this collective self-deception is